Hi there, I'm Tom from Continuity, and you're watching the Vintage News. On today's episode, we take a look back at 2023 and what some of the major trends are, and then what we expect to see in 2024. We also dive into finding vintage at discount stores like Ross and Winners, and vintage from high-end designer resellers. Stay tuned to watch the full episode. 2023 was an interesting year. It began with the doom and gloom of an incoming recession and the idea that hype vintage tees were going to plummet in price. Well, luckily for us and the economy, I guess, we didn't end up seeing a very big recession, and hype vintage tees kind of stagnated throughout the entire year. Prices did go down slightly, but with the success of Whatnot auctions, the hype seemed to continue on vintage t-shirts. I mean, just take a look at Defunct's heat check videos over the past year. We saw multiple tees selling for well over $1,000 each throughout the entire year. 2023 also seemed to mark the changeover of who decides what's cool, from millennial t-shirt lovers to Gen Z, and what they love is pants. Sorry guys. Whether it be vintage tiger stripe cargos, Jenkos, Truies, or Carhartt, pants seem to dominate the conversation in vintage this year. Gen Z definitely has the money to spend, but is the $1,000 Jenkos going to continue throughout 2024, or are they going to move on to something else? Or will they just turn to places like Panda Buy to continue their pants obsession? Their generation seems to care less and less about what is real and what is fake, as long as you have the cool item on. Now obviously these dupes are going to be much lower quality than the actual vintage items that they are after, but with the cycle of trends being so quick now, does it really matter? By the fourth wear, the item is probably falling apart, but so is the trend at that point. With the hyper-moving trend cycle that we are in now, hopefully the TikTok generation will get tired of changing their wardrobe every 3 months and will move into creating capsule wardrobes or developing their own personal style that they can settle into for the next few years. As we've mentioned before, vintage and thrifting is superior in this journey, as you can try out multiple different items for a much lower cost. As money gets tighter in 2024, we also expect the vintage and secondhand clothing community to boom. People are always going to want to refresh their wardrobe, and secondhand and vintage clothing provides a way that you can do that, but a lot more affordably. And the garments themselves will last a lot longer than their fast fashion counterparts. In other news, if you've been on the website Grailed in the past few years, then you probably recognize pictures like these paired with absurdly high prices. This is the infamous 4G seller, a New York resident that curates the hardest to find designer items like Rick Owens and Chrome Hearts to probably the most overpriced vintage you've ever seen. We have covered 4G before when he was named in a New York Times article alongside sellers like Luke Frazier. Back then it seemed the focus was on high-end designer items like the Chrome Hearts beanbag chair or Heidi Slimane era Christian Dior. Now you can see a lot of vintage items on his page, and they are selling for a lot. Items like this heavy waxed work shirt Cobain grunge button-up have sold for $222 US. Now, people get mad at stuff like this all the time. I mean, I could go out thrifting for half a day and find 3 shirts exactly like that. But part of the allure of shopping on his Grailed is to purchase something from 4G himself, and you can't really fault him for that. Now, 4G has also expanded to his own website where he's selling his own branded items. And I use the term his own a little loosely. These are vintage and designer items with the 4G Lime cursive font saying "Go fuck yourself" screen printed on them. The vintage items start at $800 USD and go all the way up to $3,000. The designer items also start at $800 USD, but go all the way up to $5,600 each. Now 4G obviously knows what he's doing, and our guess is these items are more so a reflection of the seller rather than the items himself. Similarly, designer Ass Pizza, or Austin Babbitt as some people know him, has created an offshoot brand called Babbitt. With this brand, he sells series of screen-printed t-shirts, hoodies, and crewnecks. These are also repurposed secondhand items, and each week seems to have a different graphic that is available only for that week. Currently, the series is an angry Homer Simpson face, which you can order in any size and you will receive a random item of your choosing, whether it be t-shirt, crewneck, or hoodie. Now these items are a lot more price friendly. They range from $25 to $55 USD plus shipping. And Austin is no newbie to repurpose items. He famously screen printed his jeans on Walmart brand jeans that he purchased from the stores himself. And if you know your history, this is also how Virgil Abloh started Off-White. Virgil purchased a bunch of discounted polo rugby shirts and screen printed the classic Off-White symbol on the back for his first collection. Here at the Vintage News, we are all for repurposing. And despite price points or rehashing old ideas, we think this this is a move in the right direction for sustainability. What do you guys think? Today's episode is brought to you by From Another. From Another is Alberta's premier spot for buying vintage, sneakers, and streetwear, both in-store and online at FromAnother.ca. If you're looking to expand your wardrobe but don't want to break the bank, From Another has an extensive collection of new and used items that you can purchase. From Another also ships worldwide and express, so if you're impatient like me, you can get your order right away. Use the code VintageNews at checkout for free shipping. That's code VintageNews for free shipping at FromAnother.ca. Now back to the show. Finally, a month or two ago, a video was posted from a Winners in Vancouver. Winners is a discount clothing store, much like a Marshalls or a Ross, but primarily in Canada. The peculiar thing about this video is this particular store seemed to have been stocked with vintage items like tees and crew necks. Winners primarily stocks itself with leftover brand new clothing from brands like Polo, Adidas, Volcom, and many others. As far as I know, the company has never sold secondhand items to their knowledge, so this was very peculiar to see. All the items are in great condition and seem to have this huge hang tag from a company called Goat Vintage. Now, we have reached out to Goat Vintage for more information on this, but we have not received a response as of yet. Now, after perusing the Goat website, it does appear that they work with retailers and provides vintage wholesale to them. This would explain why all their hang tags are on these items, as they provide pre-tagged and pre-priced items to their retailers. Perhaps a retailer went out of business and went into liquidation, which is how this stuff ended up at Winners in the first place. It looks like all the items were priced from $30 to $50 each, which is close to retail for a lot of items, but for the higher end ones, it's definitely worth snagging. Now, if you want to see the full video, you can check out VanBasicVintage's Instagram reel, which we'll link below. That's all for this week's episode of the Vintage News. We appreciate your support and for watching all the way through this video. As always, I'm Tom from Continuity, and if you ever have any vintage news that you think should be on the next episode, feel free to reach out on Instagram. Thanks for watching. Bye.